Hey, this is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And we are zooming in and focusing in on a wonderful viewer question. And that is, how can we identify our vulnerabilities that have made us subject to narcissist attack or psychopathic attack? In other words, this viewer just watched a interview with Ted Bundy, who is a well-known psychopath. These individuals exist. These are people who are treacherous, evil, demonic. I mean, we're talking, without rehabilitation. So these people are walking among us. You must become aware of that. So, and the viewer was stating that Ted Bundy could select his victims just by the way that they were walking. In other words, they have a radar, which we have attested to and discussed previously here on the Peace and Harmony channel. In other words, it is to understand that psychopaths exist and think and live in a much different dimension than what you would ever know or never even dream possible that could be contained within a human body. So it is to understand a reality. Maybe this was never taught to you by your previous teachers, your previous relationships, or now you're kind of getting an inkling, a taste, or maybe you've experienced this in your family, your work, your community, your lover, someone you met at the bar, someone you met at your college, your workplace, etc. Generally, someone is going to come and braze up amongst, one of these types of people at some point in their life. And the viewer is acting, they're stating that they're sick of viewing things in terms of being like a victim mentality or an empathy, empath. And she doesn't want to view that in that perspective. It's to understand, how can we tune into and develop a narc radar so we can be attuned to and understand when we are in the presence of someone who could take advantage of us? This is a wonderful viewer question, and we've discussed this, but I'm going to really zoom in and focus in on this today because it's very important, like we discussed here, these are kind of like, it's a process. It is kind of what I call a curating. It's a coming together of life experiences, of lessons learned, of the tools, of understanding yourself and to thy own self be true. So to learn to have a radar, a narc-dar, or a victim radar. In other words, how can we really pick up on this? And as I alluded to in previous videos, I definitely have what I would call a spidey sense, or an awareness and understanding and an intuition, which is now attuned to and can identify someone who is of this disorder, personality type. I can feel it. So because of my focus, the tools that I've developed and curated and brought together, I am able to sense it and identify it because of the need with all the tools that are coming together. So it really is a number of different tools that's coming together. So number one, to have a radar, you have to be receptive. You have to go out, not with a guard up, but with a sensitivity and awareness and a wisdom about you. I.e., I know unequivocally that there are people out there who will criticize, who will take advantage, who will delude, who will lie, who will make up false fronts, false social media accounts, false bank accounts, God only knows what else, false addresses. They will lie through their teeth day in and day out just for the sheer pleasure of duping somebody. So it's to have that lesson learned. So you have to be open and kind of live in the space of having this understanding. And so to be this receptive, you have to have a number of different qualities that we really focus in on the tools. So once it's kind of like having a number of different tools that build a house. You have to have a saw, you have to have a grip, you have to have nails, you have to have glue, you have to have a measuring tape, you have to have a hammer, all these different tools. So you need to have tools in your toolbox and just kind of always have them on your tool belt, i.e. within you. But you have to live in that space that's understanding that you need to be mindful. So, and then come into a peaceful place within yourself. So you're going to notice a number of different tools that are coalescing and coming together with here. Sort of a synopsis or a coming together. So number one, you have to be in a calm, relaxed state, i.e. not, desperate, not feeling that you're lacking, not feeling that you're not good enough. There are a number of different physiological and feel states that really come to create and then solidify and make strong that place within you. So you need to come into that calm, relaxed, perceptive state where you can receive. And in that space where you receive, you need to have a couple of different elements. You need to have the awareness that I am good enough. So right very much here, this feeling, this physiological state might require work on your part or healing or affirmation within yourself. So you might need to get to that. I am good enough. I am. Notice how that is stated in the present tense. Not I should be good enough, I will be good enough, I was good enough, I once upon a time, I am. So you need to come into the present moment, to live in the eternal present, now o'clock. You need to be able to write this down, and you need to have the repetition, such as I discuss in the Astromations, affirmations. You need to repeat this over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, just as if you were learning a new emotional language. If someone were to drop you off and you're a native English speaker, and they were to drop you off in Russia and you did not know the language, you might want to pick up a few words, a few conversations, a few interactions to get by. Do you agree? So that is what we call learning a new language. In my viewpoint, the emotions are very much like a language. They are contained within you. Very interestingly enough, I don't know many other species on this planet that does not live by that instinct, that awareness that they are good enough and have that sense. So very interestingly enough, we're highly intelligent, yet we're highly troubled. When you really think about this and the philosophy comes together, you have to wonder, how important, is intellect and emotions, and how, that just brings up a whole nother series of discussions. But however, you have to have that sense and that experience that I am good enough, and begin to commit to the present moment and live. And in order to learn, you need to repeat something. So if you were to learn a new language, you would need to repeat it over and over. You would need to practice it, correct? So if you, in your healing journey, which you found yourself on, whether you like it or not, you are learning the lessons of your life. You are a human being. Welcome to the planet. If no one has welcomed you, here is your welcome. Okay, so you need to understand then, in my viewpoint, that you need to understand that you need repetition to learn emotional states. You need to repeat and reprogram and recondition yourself to this positive mindset. So you are not sending out messages, i.e. like the way that person was walking, that Ted Bundy was like, yep, there's my next victim. I got this one and I'm going to bag it. You need to understand that when someone is picking that up on their radar, They are looking at what you would call your carriage, the way you carry yourself. The way you carry yourself has to do with your inner physiology, your emotions, and your self identity, your I am, how you see yourself, how you are able to exude this feeling. And so you can observe this. Just take a few minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, and sit yourself down on a bench somewhere and see if you can identify the different carriages or body language of individuals walking by you. And just be receptive. See if you can identify how a mother carries themselves, how a father carries themselves, how a punk or troublemaker carries themselves, how an insecure girl or an insecure guy carries themselves. See how a strong person carries themselves. See how what you would deem a weak person identifies themselves. See how if you can identify the happy, the unhappy, the content, the discontent, the troublemaker or the one who is not going to cause trouble, the leader and the follower. See if you can begin to identify some of these categories and begin to have categorical references in your mind. This is a lifelong journey, but you have to be receptive. You have to know that this is an important task. This is also part of the recovery dates that I allude to. So when you take yourself out, it is to take that I am good enough, I am deserving, I am lovable, I am kind, I am. It's to give yourself a chance to live in this world in the present moment from that whole healed state. Not as a mother, not as a father, not as a teacher, not as a banker, not as a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief. It is just to exist. It is to be. Oh, peace and harmony, that sounds so simple. Go ahead and try it for 2 hours. Go ahead and try this for 3 hours. Repeat, I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, 1,000,000 times, and see how the effect of reprogramming and reconditioning your observation, your senses, your spidey sense, your narc radar comes into being and strengthens, just like you're teaching yourself a new language. However, you need to identify that the emotions have a language. The emotions have a voice. The emotions are like, hey, do this. Hey, don't do that. Don't eat. We are the only species that I know of that really can turn off their inner voice, their instinct. And we do this early on, from the point where you're told that you're bad, you're told that you're ugly, you're told that you're slow, you're told that you're smart, you're told that you're good enough, you're told that I love you, you're told that I hate you. You're left out in the cold, you're left out in the warm. You're left alone, you're left with people. You're isolated or you feel connected. So do you see how your I am is created through this huge expanse of time? And it's very important for you to have conscientious effort, a little bit of deliberate effort into reprogramming this. So, for example, just like you were to take your computer to a guy, a gal who could repair it, my operating system ain't working. It ain't pulling up nothing. Can you help me pull it up something? Guy's like, yep, I got this. They fixed your hard drive and there it goes working again. You need to be working at that level of the hard drive. Peace and harmony, I don't know what that is. You need to understand the I am. And you need to be able to repeat it, like I say, out loud. So all your senses can see it, feel it, hear it, touch it, taste it, know it, live it, be it. Okay, this is not a half an hour practice. This is not a 2-hour practice. This is not a 6-month practice. This is an ongoing, lifelong practice for you to receive the results, blessings, and manifestations in your life that comes from this reconditioning, just like you would recondition a boat Just like you would recondition wood, you'd recondition skis, you'd recondition a deck, or recondition a car, recondition whatever. Do you get the point? You're getting it back to its potential. So oftentimes people don't live, breathe, think, feel from their potential from this space. So you need to give yourself the gift. It's the holidays. Oftentimes I don't have this, I don't have that. When you were to only look in your garage, your basement, your closet, underneath the couch, in the refrigerator, in your cabinets, OMG, I actually have a lot. Who the F am I for complaining and feeling not good enough? That's why I say you need to repeat to yourself and come in. That's what I call about coming into your own. I have what I have. I have gratitude for what I have. You need to develop these affirmations, these life experiences, or life will really throw you some illness, some hard up relationships that cause thousands of dollars of damage, lost time, lost family, lost homes, lost jobs. Notice how I said lost, meaning lack. And oftentimes if you look back, if I'd only had the sense to know better, do better, feel better, think better, everything originates from that state. So you need to get to what I call your essence. That is falling and surrendering to the Christ within, the infinite within, your higher intelligence, your guides, where you shut up, you stop getting yourself in the way, you get out of your ego and you get into the I am. You come within, coming out of the cold, coming out of the chaos, coming out of the stupidity, the up and down that is making you feel that you are vulnerable. And get into that space, and it is a be state, and you need to practice and rehearse it. You need to allow yourself to be and not feel unsafe, stupid, etc. Why am I sitting here trying meditation? This doesn't work. Well, your first day in Russia might not work. It might take some time of being there and thinking kind of, whoa, where am I? And then you might need to get a grip. So you might need to practice mindfulness. You might need to practice quiet time. You might need to practice some time shutting yourself up. You might need to spend some time stopping your bad habits, especially your bad I am habits. I should, I need, I'm not. The I'm not, all the negative definitions you have of yourself, you need to get rid of them because these were all inoculated or learned. All these feeling states were learned all throughout your life and that have caused you the victim, the vulnerable, the people who take advantage of you. Oh, here's someone who is slumping with their shoulders down. The body language. So your body is going to be a reflection of your thoughts. And your thoughts are things. It's not like, oh, I had a thought and like nobody knows it. You send this message out in your body all the time. This is what we call body language. And body language is responsible for a huge percentage of our communication. It is really the words which have a very minuscule, maybe even, experts in linguistics say it's, like 5%, and then like the other 25% is your tone. Where does your tone come from? Where do your words come from? Think about that for a moment. Your tone is generated by your emotions. Your emotions are energy in motion. It's your internal energy. And if you have been sending these weak messages to yourself, I am not good enough, I am unlovable, I am ugly, I am isolated. These are not things that you just, we think like 90 thoughts, during the day, and oftentimes 95% of them, if not greater, are the same as the day before. But it's to understand that these thoughts are on what we have. You have what is called the subconscious mind. It is your body is the subconscious mind. So how you carry yourself, how you take care of yourself. We are the only species that says, I am full, but we keep eating. We are the only species that say, I am hungry, and we do not eat. It is to appear thin, fat, whatever your culture tells you is beautiful. This is what you've taught to then override your spidey sense, your narc radar. It is what's you're operating on the I am not. You're operating on the down low negative. You're operating on the I can't. And then even if you consciously tell yourself these things, you can still be taken advantage of because you have not fixed it on the subconscious, unconscious level. So you need to go, what the F, peace and harmony, this is serious. Until you get to that space, until you get to rock bottom, i.e. the essence of you, you're going to continue on making the same mistakes. Why did I do it again? Oh my God, I can't believe this. Here I go again. And you're feeling helpless. You're like, why didn't I pick up on this? Why aren't I attuned to this? Why can't I pick up when, who's bad and who's not? That is such a great space to be from when you are at your rock bottom, because it means you are admitting to yourself that you need help. But a lot of people who have put up and shut up, they are so afraid to ask for help because their identity, they've had to coat so much and then push so much and live on these repressed emotion states. It's like, you're burying these, bones in the closet. They're gonna come out sometime. So it is to understand that once you get into that clarity state, stop the drinking, stop the junk thoughts, stop the junk food, stop the junk spending, look at your behaviors, take ownership for who you are, how you're feeling, including whether you feel good enough, happy enough, travel, go to Australia, go to Turkey, go to Africa, go to the United States, go to the UK, wherever it is, until you spread yourself out and have that I can, I am, will you, and then develop the life experience and the I am and the identity that is with you 24/7, like I've said, while you're brushing your teeth, I am, while you're putting on your shoes, I am, while you're boiling the water for your noodles, I am, washing your dishes, I am, driving, I am. Until you practice and rehearse that, your life is going to be plagued with this feeling of victimization, not knowing who's who. But once you develop that and then have that awareness, then you'll begin to develop boundaries and a sense of yourself. You'll understand that you contain, that you have an agenda, you're getting out of that fight or flight that has kept you in that victim mentality or, whatever. You're then operating on the neutral, the indifferent. In other words, whatever else is going outside of yourself, you don't give a F, you don't care, even if it's your daughter, your doctor, your no matter what. You've got energy in here and you've got energy out there. That is when you're in the I am, and then you're in the I am important. And then once you get into that physiology and you hold yourself in esteem, let's call it the divine, the I am, the present, the Christ, the whatever Buddha, whatever you want to call it something, but recognize it within yourself. And then you'll develop what I call boundaries and standards. You'll develop a perceptivity, and you practice this on your recovery dates. You give yourself a recovery gift that's like, amen, sister, amen, brother. I took myself out and I did the I am. I'm getting myself a candle. I'm getting myself a pair of gloves. I'm getting myself a scarf, a pair of socks, a 2-cent piece of candy, whatever it is. I'm giving that I am a gift. And just a little something that is a physical representation or a souvenir from your I am experience. And until you go out and reward that part of yourself, you will live in the mediocre, the victimized, the not sensitive to who's taking advantage, not developing and living in your boundaries. Until you practice that, you give it a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years. Stick to it like glue, as if your life depended on it. Do you notice how I am speaking with a tone and a commitment? Do you notice how my body is channeling this information? Do you notice how I'm giving you this energy? Take that, take that, take that. Okay, until you get that energy and that commitment, and that is above anything else, any other person, any other situation in life, until you are there, then you're going to be rewarded by that which is bigger than you. which is the great I am, which is the present, then you can live, and then you can manifest, and then you can handle. And then, someone who comes across you who's poor, someone who comes across you who's rich, someone who comes around, whatever, it does not matter. You're in the I am. And when you're there, and you've developed this mindful state, what we call mindfulness or cognitive reframing, metacognition, the ability to, these psychological tools. Notice I'm naming a lot of tools here. Think of it like your emotional toolkit. And you need to have these tools on your tool belt. You don't only walk around with one hammer, because if you do, everything looks like a nail. If you walk around like a saw, all you're going to do is cut things off. If you walk around, do you get my drift? Okay. So you have a number of these tools. So namely that of calm. So in other words, coming into your own, being able to experience safety, being able to experience the I am, being able to understand what mindfulness, or what we call metacognition, the ability of your mind, which you have, which is the ability, i.e. you're able, not disabled, the ability for you to tap into your thoughts that give you the ability to think about what you're thinking about. I.e., if I were to go there right now, if I would say I'm delivering a presentation, I'm responding to a viewer, I'm happy that I'm doing this, I feel that this is something I have knowledge of, I feel like I can deliver this solution 100%. So that's like my metacognition. So if I were to get there, and then my cognitive reframing would be, I understand now that I have boundaries. So my strength equals my boundaries. So I can reframe what that feels like. And I'm able to identify strength. And I kind of feel like maybe, and then I come into my body. So I'm coming into my own, and I'm feeling kind of a grip in my stomach. I'm feeling kind of like, my tone is strong and clear. I feel like I don't have to stumble, whatever. Okay, so it is the peace, the safety, the indifference to whatever else is going on. In other words, I matter, coming into that present, having the ability to let go of all those thoughts that you've been holding on to. I can't stand this. I can't stand this. How many times have you repeated that to yourself? That is what we call reactivity. So, in other words, that is also what we call programming. So these are all a number of different tools that kind of come together to create a super tool, which is your connection, which is your essence, which is your perceptivity, your reception, and your ability to have narc radar. In other words, to say, yep, there it is. The eyes aren't deceiving me. The ears aren't deceiving me. The heart is not deceiving me. The mind isn't deceiving me. I know. I don't know how I know, but I know that I know, and I ain't backing down. I ain't touching that thing. I ain't touching that girl. I ain't touching that guy. And you're able to see it from afar. Despite the flash, despite the car, despite the poverty, whatever, despite, you're able to identify, just like making a diagnosis, just like a doctor. You're able to go boom, boom, boom. Yep, this is that. And then you can see it and you know it, and you can understand that in percentages, narcissists and psychopaths make up what they call between 1 to 4% of the population. Some people say it's 25%. In the criminal system, the judicial system, those penitentiaries, etc. Some say it's 50%. Okay, because not all of them are violent. Not all of them are, of that. Some of them are like corporate. Some of them are, walking around in other facades, masks, okay, deceiving and duping people 24/7, the lies. You have to understand that is what operates, and so you have to have experience then of what that is. So not only do you have to identify that space within you, you have to identify then what that looks like. So you have to do a little bit of reflection, or kind of going back and kind of learning. I call it the lesson learned section in the book that I'm working on. You have to write this down. This is important to have your lessons learned, including what the person said, what the person did, how frequently, what their body language looked like, how they delivered this message to me, how it became an enigma, how I became addicted or deluded, how I shut down my own little voice, how I didn't pay attention, how I was needy. So you have to kind of have those lessons learned. Flip a few pages of this. If you don't have 10 pages of lessons learned, what have you learned? You know, then you're going to be doomed to repeat the same mistakes and not pick up on who these narcissists or psychopaths are. We could go on with a lot of this, but it's very important then when you're in that space, it's an emotional space, an experiential space. It takes work, it takes practice, and then you have the standards. In other words, the boundaries and standards, and then you can see it coming. And then when you identify it, you go, OMG, that is right there. I see it and know it. You might need to study what psychopathy is, sociopathy, narcissism, covert narcissism. You need to know what kind of comprises that. So you need to know. And then when you see, that chill, and we have to wrap up here, but when you see that the narcissist, sort of the calloused, that they are fearless, that they talk in that monotone voice, that they seem to be, doing whatever it is that they want and not really caring, the consciencelessness, talking toxically about themselves, you'll be able to put two and two together and you will know it. We're going to do more on this. That's a great question. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out. Love you. Watch this video again and again and again and repeat your lessons learned. Read your lessons learned. Repetition is the mother of experience and knowledge.